Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Christian Music Bros podcast. I'm Brendan,
And I'm Bradden. Welcome to the
and
podcast, everyone.
and we are the B&B Bros. I don't know, Brandon. I thought of a new name for us for once.
I mean, it works. We both have it, so might as well own it.
So why not? The B&B Bros, and you're listening to the B&B Bros podcast, I guess. Nah,
True,
that
true.
doesn't apply as well. But anyway, we are here with a very special guest. I'm actually representing them on my shirt today. So I'm gonna
Right
let our special
on.
guest introduce themselves.
What's up, man? I'm Joseph with the band Seventh Day Slumber. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Let's just start to dive in. Brad and I like to hear everyone's background, like how they got started and everything in music. So we'll just start nice and easy with that.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, I'm with Seventh Day Slumber, and this band started late 90s, really early 2000s. I know a lot of different Wikipedia pages, which, by the way, don't trust Wikipedia on most things because it's not always true. Usually it's not true.
Right.
But Seven Day Slumber really started like 2000 is when the band really got its start. But we've been around since then, and have been able to tour all over the world, really. And we're sharing a message of hope. I was a drug addict and God changed my life. And so music was something that I could do okay. I wasn't great at it, but it was still not.
Mhm.
But I was at least decent at it, and it was a way for me to give back, and uh just an opportunity for me to use a gift that God had given me to be able to speak into the lives of others and let them know that life is not hopeless, that there's hope for their life, that there is, no matter what they've done and been through in their life, that God loves them and has a plan for them. And so Seven Day Slumber started on that foundation, and ministry minded, and has stayed that way over the years.
That's really cool. And for those who haven't checked them out on tour, they've been on tours ever since. I saw them at Winter Jam last year, so that was really cool to see you guys at Winter Jam last year. Bradden, do you have anything you want to add off of that?
Yeah, I mean, I've loved it. I love how you guys have been going around for like 25 years almost now, it sounds like. And like
Yeah.
you guys have released so many albums, so many different styles. What's it been like from being so early on in the industry as one of the first Christian rock bands I discovered back in the day, and then still releasing, I think, your best music ever personally? Just
Oh,
after all,
man, thank you.
what's that like?
Well, it's kind of, I feel old, but the fact that we're still releasing music that people enjoy, and thank you for saying that, man. I think that I think that I probably wouldn't be doing this right now if people still weren't enjoying it,
Mhm.
and getting something out of it, because ministry can be done in a lot of different ways. You don't have to be the lead singer of a Christian band to do ministry. You guys are doing a podcast that's making a difference, and those kinds of things. You can work at your job and make a difference. It doesn't really matter where you're at. It matters where your heart is at. You know what I mean? And so for me, I don't have to be in Seven Day Slumber to be making a difference. But as long as God is using me in Seventh Day Slumber, then I'll stay here and continue to do it. But it's makes it a lot easier when people are still enjoying what you're putting out, not just the message being a powerful message, which that comes from God. I pray that God will just give me the words to speak each time. It's not something that I just do. It's something I trust God to do through me. But the music, you want people to like your music too, not just your
Right.
message. And so the fact that people actually still like our music and are saying, "Man, we're hearing some really great stuff from you guys," even you know, over all these years, like, that's a big deal, man. And it makes me feel good. And it also I take it as a personal challenge to do even something cooler and better on the next one.
Hmm. Love that. That's awesome.
And with these last few albums, you haven't been with your son in the band. How has it been like having your son in the band with you?
It's amazing, man. I mean, I can't put into words being able to look back behind me
Mhm.
and see my son on the drums. but also I sit in this studio um with my son next to me, and we write songs together. It's not just that he plays the drums in a band that I'm in, like this kid he's a writer. I mean, he wrote half the lyrics on the last record as well as the record before. So Death by Admiration and sorry, I thought that was Blaze right there. But Death by Admiration, and he wrote half of Fractured Paradise. So being able to sit and write with him next to me is huge. And I mean, I don't know, to have this type of relationship with all three of my sons is from where I was being a drug addict and locked up in somebody's institution, whether it be some mental hospital or rehab or somebody's jail or prison system. Man, and I don't have words for it. It's crazy. I get to have this life. I just celebrated 25 years of marriage with my wife Lori yesterday, and she doesn't just love me, she actually still likes me after 25 years, and that's pretty crazy. So I don't know, man. All around, I have to say that I just I'm living this life that I didn't think somebody like me deserved or could live, even that it was even possible to live a life like this, much less have your son in a band with you, like writing with you and making you better. The kid makes me better, you know.
Mhm.
All three of my kids do.
It's really special that you get to share these moments with your son and everything.
You're gonna hear me pouring I'm not sponsored by this company, but if they're watching, I want to be sponsored by Fit Aid.
I have
Okay.
the Celsius right here, so I have a green screen on. Sorry, green screen.
Yeah, that's all right. I love this stuff. It's a super tasty beverage.
Bradden, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, of course. Like, I love that. I love the bond you especially have with your family, your son. You mentioned that, I believe, when you were at Winter Jam Tour, talking about how much seeing your son there was a blessing, talking about seeing your wife there was a blessing. And just, I remember being impacted by that. I've seen you guys a couple times, but then seeing you actually on stage, Winter Jam wise, all around the nation, I way overdue. I loved it. It was amazing. What was it like being on that tour, and especially the ministry that comes from that, meeting people afterwards? What was that all experience like?
Wow. Being on Winter Jam was surreal for me. It's something that, I mean, it's the biggest tour you can be on in Christian music. I know there's a lot of big tours out there. I'm not saying that, Toby Mac's tour isn't big, and Lauren Daigle and Mercy Me's tours aren't big, and Casting Crowns. They're all great big tours. But this is kind of like this staple in Christian music. And to get on that where they only pick one rock band per year, like they pick lots of contemporary artists per year, or several, not lots, but several, but they pick one rock band. And even for a while, they stopped doing that. And so when they started doing it again, they started they back up with, they picked Disciple. And I was like, whoa, they hadn't had rock in a while, since like Skillet or Red, and even Thousand Foot Crutch, and those kinds of things. But they then they started doing it again, and they picked Disciple. I was so happy for Kevin and those guys. I know those guys, love those guys so much. Done a lot of touring with Kevin and the guys in Disciple, and Joey and Josiah and Andrew and all those guys, man, love them. But I was like, man, maybe that's one thing in this industry I haven't done. I've been on a lot of the big tours, in terms of, we already talked about ministry. We know that ministry is the priority for 7-Day Slumber, but in terms of other cool things to do along, like milestones in music, right? Christian music, there's the Dove Awards, there's the Grizzly Awards, there's the all these different milestones, being on big tours. Well, we've been on tour with Skillet. Skillet brought us on one of our very first tours ever. We were out with Skillet for 3 months, then toured with them for 2 months. We've been out with Newsboys. We were direct support to Newsboys. That was a big, big thing. When Oceans from the Inside Out came out, we did that tour for 3 months. We've been on tour with all of these things and won the Dove Awards and done all these things. But the one thing we hadn't done as a milestone, remember, anybody listening to this, I'm not talking about accolades mean everything. I'm saying that there are cool things to happen, right? Winter Jam that's one thing we had never done. So being on all the big tours, winning all the cool awards and doing all those things, Billboard and all those things are awesome. But Winter Jam was one I always wanted to do. And to get called and say, hey, we want Seventh Day Slumber, out of all the Christian rock bands that are out there, to pick us, and there's only one they can pick, that was crazy. It was mind-blowing. But another thing that Winter Jam did for me that I haven't really spoke a lot about, it brought hope back to me for Christian music. Like, I stopped listening to Christian music. I'm in the Christian music industry. I own a Christian label. And dealing with so many artists behind the scenes gave me a bad seeing how artists will do you after you pour out into them and then like treat you a certain way, or see the way they are on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and then the way they treat their fans. And then the industry being nasty. Man, it left me with a bad taste in my mouth where I didn't want to deal with Christian bands anymore. Like, some of the general market bands we were touring with were nicer than some of the Christian bands we were touring with. They valued you more when you gave them advice and you would sit and talk to them and say, hey man, you need to watch what you're doing here. If you want to do this, then don't do this. I don't know. It was just, there's a whole long story there that I'm not going to get into. But it left me feeling some type of way. And then to go out here with guys and gals like Kane and Lecrae, Crowder and his crew, Katie Nicole's folks as well, and all Joseph O'Brien and all the different people out there, dude, especially the new song guys. Like, wow, they did something for me. It brought healing to my soul. They were nice to us. They treated us so good. They loved on us. They didn't judge us. We had protesters outside and some that got inside and protested Seventh Day Slumber during our set. Right in the middle of our set, when I was giving my testimony, yelling at us that I'm sending people to hell and our music's sending people to hell. And to have Russ and all the guys in New Song rally around us when I got off stage and just say, we love you, dude. Don't listen to those people. Like, it brought healing. And to have, a lot of people, Lecrae can be controversial in the Christian market. People got things about the way he feels about certain things and whatever else. But let me tell you something. Lecrae was one of the most genuine dudes that I've ever met in the industry. And of course, I've met Lecrae many times over the years, but we've never sat and talked. We just like, hey, what's up, dude? Oh, what's up, man? Over the years. But we had the opportunity to sit and talk and be around each other for 40 straight cities, 3 straight months. I don't know, man. I know you probably didn't bargain for this or ask for this, but it just did a lot for me, man. It did a lot for me. I'm forever grateful to the folks at Winter Jam, and to if I never get invited back, that brought healing to me. It brought healing to even my family, because my family's had to see this trash in the background. They've had to see their daddy get trashed. My wife's had to see her husband get trashed. They've seen it all, and not said anything, and let God fight the battles. And God has continued to bless us and move us forward. I'm used to trying to fight my own battles, and a lot of times it doesn't end well for me. I make things worse, So yeah.
And Bradden and I do winter gym predictions every year. We actually predicted you guys to go on winter gym this year. We do our predictions like in July or August of every year, and you were the band we predicted. So they must
Predict
have
me
heard our
again.
episode. They must have heard of our episode. You were just talking about fighting your own battles. You just released a brand new book within like the last few months to a year. Can you tell us a little bit about that book?
Yeah, well, Unveiled Skies, Conquering Emotional Battles is obviously a two-part title. Unveiled Skies, I mean, sometimes things look pretty gloomy. You're looking for some kind of ray of hope, some kind of sunshine in your life. Even as Christians, sometimes you feel like you're in this gloomy stage and like there is a limit to the sky. You know how they always say the sky's the limit? And that's supposed to be a good thing. Well, sometimes it looks like there's a limit to the sky when we look up.
Mhm.
And a lot of things can factor into that. But unveiled skies just means that now those things are gone, and you can really see that the sky's the limit means there is no limit. And and the second part to the title is conquering emotional battles. Well, for those skies to be unveiled and for you to be able to see that the endless possibilities with God, you have to know that God is with you. Um, you know, uh, it's one thing to say that I'm with God. It's another thing to actually believe that God is with you. And and um and what I mean by that is a lot of us believe in God. A lot of us can say, I'm with God. A lot of us will even defend God. Like, and God doesn't need us to do that, by the way. That's another thing I got to learn is I'm always like, man, you don't talk about my dad like that because he's the only father I knew growing up, or not growing up. He's the only father I've known. I didn't have a dad growing up. So I didn't even have God. He was there with me, but I wasn't there with him. And now I'm there with him, but sometimes I wonder if he's there with me. Right.
Mhm.
So it's just how different phases of our life, and not everything is just cut and dry, and we want to believe that it's just cut and dry, but not everything's cut and dry. Life will hit you hard sometimes, and so to unveil those skies, you got a lot of emotional baggage and a lot of emotional things. Even if it's church hurt, and maybe you never used drugs or alcohol or whatever, maybe you got some church hurt, maybe you got some other things going on, and man, you just need you need to and there's just a lot of emotional battles going on. And what this book talks about is it helps. I share about how you can overcome anxiety, depression, find your self-worth, but all of that is rooted in Christ. And so being with God or believing in God is a whole different story than you believe that he believes in you, and that he and, being with God is different than you believing that God is actually with you, because we can think of God being at the center of the universe and created the universe, and like that's awesome. Like God is all knowing, all powerful, everything, and he created all this stuff, but like does he actually care about the fact that I failed a test today, or that my parents are getting a divorce, or that I'm like, can he concern himself about the small areas of my life? Surely not. Like he's busy.
Mhm.
And a lot of times we don't expect him to, because he's God, the creator of the universe. He doesn't have time to be messing around my little relationship problem. But it's quite the opposite. He's not. I'm not just with him. He's with me. He's with you. He's concerned himself about every area of your life, the little things, the big things, and everything in between. And it's hard to understand that because we can't even get some of our best friends, our closest people, to concern themselves about the smallest areas of our life. And so, how could the creator of the universe, who's like busy running the world and the universe, like how could I get him to be interested in me? But he is. He is. And that's mind blowing. And so this book helps you to focus on that, to understand that I'm not just with him, he's with me. The Bible says that he's God with us.
Thank you for sharing that. And everyone that hasn't checked out the book yet, or Joseph's music with 7 Day Slumber, you can check that out. I recommend his music. I recommend the book. Brad, do you have anything else you want to say very quick before we tune into our last topic?
Yeah, like I love what you're saying, man. Like your testimony, I've heard it several times already, seen it online, and I've been able to share those videos, clips with other people, and just hearing how that relates to them, how that impacts them. And like even this book, I want to get this book and read it too, because you guys have a testimony and a story that goes beyond just your music, more than just social media, how you use that to impact people, but even just your lives, your hearts for the music industry, for sharing the gospel. It's genuine. It's something that I love seeing the Christian music industry, because you don't see that often. So I love that, man. So thank you for that passion and just real desire to connect with people on a level that God leads you guys to. It's amazing to see.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you saying that, man. I'm you know, it's crazy though. I got to give a disclaimer because the book isn't my autobiography. So it's that we are doing an autobiography, by the way. That is going to be happening within the next year. But this book is part of my story is in there. So it does share about my story and that kind of stuff, and it goes pretty deep about my dad in there as well. But it's not an autobiography. It's more of just a good guide to helping you like overcome these emotional battles in your life by referring to scripture. And so obviously the Bible is the best guide for your life. This just points you to the verses in the Bible that I've used many times to help me refocus and just like understand my worth. And then I kind of explain those and how, and in kind of layman's terms, in a way that it's just easy to understand, easy to read. And it's on audiobook as well, which that was it took me 4 days to read a 2 hour 2 to 3 hour book, but I did it. I did it myself. And if you listen to the audiobook, it's really me sitting here with a microphone and reading the book and kind of adding my own little commentary in there as well. So yeah, thank you guys for talking about the book.
You're welcome. And we just have a few extra minutes with you today. We like to give our guests a floor to speak about anything they want to speak about. This can be upcoming music, upcoming tours, or whatever your heart's telling you to say. So we'd like to give you the floor.
Well, honestly, I just we do have new music. Actually, we're working on a worship album, and we're also working on a new rock single as well that we're going to be putting out hopefully in the next 3 months. The rock single, the album we're trying to get out this year, the worship album trying to get out this year. But we're excited about being able to go back out with our friends Disciple. We'll be out with Disciple and Magdalene Rose, and which, by the way, Maggie is my daughter-in-law, and Magdalene Rose is her real name. So
she'll be joining us right after we're done with you, actually. So we're meeting with her right after.
They're like, why is she name her band that? It's like, well, that's her real name, Magdalene. But Maggie's my daughter-in-law, and we're so stoked about her new album coming out too, which I have a huge opportunity to be able to release my daughter-in-law's album, full-length album. So that's exciting coming up. And my son Blaise got to write on it with her and help produce it. And so that's really, really awesome. Also, Maggie wrote on our new album, Fractured Paradise. So it's cool to be able to write with my son and my daughter-in-law. But no, us and Disciple and have done a lot of touring together, and Maggie will be opening up that show. There's only 3 of us on that, so we all get to do a good solid set. But I look forward to that Anthems tour, and it's going to be a bunch of anthems. Disciples got some anthems. Seventh Day Slumber's got some anthems, and Maggie's got some new music that will become anthems. So yeah, definitely. I'm excited about that. I feel like it's going to be huge, impactful tour. Lives are going to be changed, and we're thankful to be able to be a part of that. October, November.
And if that tour's coming out, you definitely have to check it out. Bradden, I would check it out. I think Bradden would definitely check it out as well.
For sure, in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And we just want to say, Joseph, thank you for joining us today. I know we're like, that's not an uncasual interview. We just like to be fun and just like be whatever we want to talk about. So thank you for joining us.
I had a good time with you guys. You guys are awesome.
And we'll see you guys next time on the Christian Music Growth Podcast. Take care, everybody.